All right, we are live with your Restoration Rebels Roundtable on the first day of August, the hot first day of August for most of us in the country. Got a few people here. We are live on Facebook as well as we are recording this. Every week we like to put this into a YouTube link so that everyone can watch this in the following. A lot of people catch this like podcast style, listen to it while they're checking on jobs or whatnot. So we have a few people coming in here. The way we like to start out every meeting is I like to read our mission, vision, and core values and what we stand for. It kind of gives you a little bit of a backdrop about some other things that we're going to talk about tonight. Why you may be here, why you need to be here, why you need to be joining in and playing a bigger part if you can, because this group is not just social. There's actually some work to do here, and a lot of us are already doing it. But let me start by reading what we've developed as our core values and whatnot. And let me find it here. Okay, so you'll hear us say a few things, and as I read through this, you'll understand. So the Restoration Rebels are us, the people that occupy this group. But we're part of a bigger group called the Alliance of Independent Restorers. Break that down real quick. The Alliance is we align people that are alike and that we're all trying to be the best professionals in the industry. Independent does not mean franchise or not. It means independent of mindset of how you run your business. And typically, not beholden to insurance carrier programs and TPAs. We will talk about a little bit tonight, and you'll understand some of our conversation there. But then, obviously, the restorers, we are generally mitigation. I know we've got a little bit of discussion this week in the group, but primarily mitigation, reconstruction, property damage restoration companies. There are some other trades that are on the fringe of that. We have some of those members in the group. I just wonder how aligned are we with some of those. So maybe we'll talk about that tonight, right, Morris? First and foremost, most people that you're going to see that actively participate in this group of over 2,600 people, you would be surprised if you found out how many of those 2,600 were active. But when I talk about active, I'm talking about those that are really passionate about what we're into. We don't just do this because we like to be seen on camera. We don't like to be, keyboard commandos on Facebook. We actually are trying to influence and impact people with knowledge and education to make the changes that will benefit all of us. One or two of us doing things this way won't move the needle. But if we can get thousands of people to look at the truth, make the changes that need to be made, we'll start to see some impact. So the header of our page, and you can see all of this in the About section of the Restoration Rebels. And if you're not part of that group, go join it. Passion for our industry. We have passion for it. We don't want to see it die. It's slowly decaying right now. That's not being melodramatic. It is. Our mission is to take back our industry, to nurture an environment of unity that allows for the progressive advancement and create improvement to enforcing our industry standards. Our vision is a united family of vibrant service providers who operate with an abundance and freedom. We plan to attain this by using high-level communications, Facebook, social media, collaborations, and creative opportunities by building an ecosystem that allows this industry's best and brightest to further educate, learn, and implement best practices. Our values are empowerment, transparency, collaboration, leadership, integrity, inclusion, and advocacy. If you want to see more about those core values, the definitions are there. Go into the About section. You'll see what we're about. And then lastly, we have commitments that we ask every member of the Rebels to listen to and to consider going by, because that's how we know we're going to be in alignment, is by commitments. In order to maintain clarity of purpose, we ask that every member of the restoration community make the following commitments. Commitment number one, I will protect the value of my services. This came up today in a couple of posts. I will never provide free services, as this would only serve to erode the value of similar services industry-wide. Commitment 2, I will practice incredible transparency. I will explain our processes in detail to my client. I will never hide details or manipulate reports. I will never communicate with a third party without also communicating with my client. We can talk about that tonight too. Commitment number 3, I will follow the belief that our vision of competition does not match that of the common definition. I changed that up. It used to be we don't believe in competition. There was a lot of hoo-ha about that. There is competition. But if we open our mind and look at competition in a different way, like you're going to compete on jobs. But I have hundreds of examples of times when people had a competitor in town that they sat with and made an alignment with that actually referred them work. So look at competition a little bit differently. When our enemy is not ourselves and internally, it's external, you need friends and not competitors. I'm willing to walk away. This is number 4. I'm willing to walk away from any project, client, or contract that is not compatible with my values and stated mission. Good business does not require us to give up money, sleep, or our humanity. Who can relate to that one? And last commitment, I will never fail to educate anyone seeking opportunity to improve. I added that one in last minute. Many of you may not have heard that. Too often in this group, we'll see people come in and ask a question that to some may seem very, very elementary and remedial, but it might be something that they're struggling with and they're looking for a better answer. Before we bash and drop the hammer on them, let's talk about maybe referring them to a place where they can get some more answers, or take it to PM, or tag someone that you know is an expert in that field. So let's find opportunities to help people do better work, because I believe that when in any Facebook group or any social media setting or even any classroom, that when a student is made to feel less than, a couple things happen. Number 1, they never ask another question. Number 2, they'll go about doing things the wrong way because they did not find that they had a place to learn to do it the right way. And then we'll end up complaining about their workmanship because they're doing it wrong. So let's get ahead of it from a teaching standpoint and try to help. Now look, if the guy's an imbecile or the person, they don't want to listen, they want to do it their way, there might be a different route to take. So anyway, I'm still welcoming people in here. Kristen, do you want to welcome any new members we have here?
My internet blanked out. Was that at me?
Yeah, Kristen, do you want to welcome any new members or see who we have?
Looks like we've got, who's new here? James looks like he's new here. Who else we got?
John O'Connell, maybe.
John O'Connell?
Yes, indeed.
I know Anthony's been on the call before. He's been more and more active in our group too. What's up, Anthony? No. Clark, you can't mute everybody and then we talk to them.
I'm not muting anyone. They're defaulted mute. That's okay. Anthony, can you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you guys. How's everybody doing? Oh, am I muted? Hold on. Can you hear me?
We hear you.
We can hear
you. Okay.
Tell us a little bit about where you're from. What do you do? How long have you been in the industry?
Well, I just recently moved to Las Vegas. I'm from Florida. I've been in the industry probably 6 years. Had about a 6-month break where I was a stay-at-home dad. I just got a new job as a customer service representative. Basically what I do is find the job and put the sketch in, get everything ready for the estimate, call in the work crew, do the demo. But I've worked on all levels of restoration.
Awesome. So did you leave Florida because of all the changes in the restoration world there, or did it just happen to work out that way?
No, it was a little bit of a strategic move. Florida, the AOB thing just went down. I don't like the way that they in Florida you have 90 insurance carrier has 90 days to determine if they're going to cover the loss or not. And then I don't know. We need to change the scenery.
Gotcha. Well, thanks for your being part of the group. Like Kristen said, you've really been a very integral part lately and a lot of input.
Thank you.
Who else? Who else do we have? We have John O'Connell. John, is this your first time?
It is. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes. First time. Just joined in the last couple of weeks. I'm based in Boston, Mass. I'm new to the industry. I've got 3 or 4 months under my belt. I started a business in the non-hazardous liquid waste industry years ago, which is septic systems, grease traps, and that sort of stuff. And over the years, we acquired 75 businesses, and I sold to a private equity group about 2 years ago. And I took some time off, and I'm in the restoration services industry looking for opportunities to partner with companies looking to grow. And haven't acquired any businesses or partnered with anybody yet, but like I said, it's been about 3 or 4 months, and learning everything I can about the business and kind of who's who in the zoo.
Well, you entered an interesting group to see how the industry works. I'd like to think that we're not like an echo chamber, that we I believe that there's a lot of different viewpoints, but I believe that we also, and anybody can correct me if I'm wrong here, Kristen or James, I believe that we represent usually facts that develop, a lot of what's going on is not just individual experiences, but they are more global experiences, and they are increasing. The frequency in which the activities of the insurance companies are increasing. I've got some theories on that, but I would say it's getting worse. Over the last 4 or 5 years, you've probably seen a pretty large swing of the pendulum as far as the abuses or the perceived abuses from insurance carriers. So are you a big Patriots fan or what?
Well, I am. I'm a convert, though. I grew up in New York City and moved to Boston about 25 years ago. I've been converted over to all the Boston sports teams.
Perfect. Well, welcome to the round table. We do this every other week. I'd like to tell the public this. Every other Thursday, we are having this round table. There are weeks where it just is a little tougher to have it because it's generally a few people that host it. But Kristen did a great job last 2 weeks ago for that. And we're trying to create a little better system where we can literally pass that around a little bit because it's we talked about stop doing this, but literally the feedback was a lot of people said, I really enjoy that y'all do this. I can't always be on the call. And so we've continued it, and I would love to see crowds like this. I would tell you when we first started doing this, there were sometimes 80 people here. I've often wondered why the decline and look for feedback, maybe the format, the concepts that we're talking about. I know that we usually have a better call when we kind of have an agenda, which we do this week. And Kristen's going to have something that we're all going to talk about, but she had a great idea. But I wanted to start with something. And before I go on, John, where'd John go? John, I got your message on air. John joined the Alliance for Independent Restorers group, and I got your message, and I just came back yesterday from vacation, and I'm trying to get caught up, but I'll reach out to you to have that conversation.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much.
If somebody is eating something, it sounds like they're not on mute. Okay. I wanted to go back to the basics, go back to the early reason why the Rebels started. Someone that's been in our group for a little while, a couple of months, reached out to me today, and this happens every so often, and was like, what is this about? What are you doing? I've read your mission vision, but why does this exist? Why is there this group? And it caused me for just a moment to sit and say, well, why are we? Because I don't care what anybody tells you. Who's the earliest member here? Jim, you've been with us pretty long. Jim's been here a while. Chris Jeter. I don't care what anybody says. This was the first group to really tackle this kind of approach using social media. And the reason that we're on Facebook is many of us wouldn't even be here if it weren't for this group. Facebook is probably something our kids used to do, and now your grandparents do. But it's got its plus and minuses, but it's no better mechanism of getting a message across a wide range of area in the country. And we obviously, if you look at our membership, we've got people around the world. We've got a lot of people around the world that are in the Rebels. So if I strip it down really, really basic, the Rebels started because what I just mentioned a few minutes ago is things started to turn south. The restoration, disaster recovery / insurance repair world for a while was a really, really good industry to be in. And arguably it's still fine. Storms were heavy, lots of growth. Insurance carriers were easier to deal with. I think over time, over the last, I'm going to still say 5 years, maybe 6, technology picked up. I think that the carriers were able to start gathering more data. Big data started coming in. They were starting to measure behavioral patterns and things of that such. And believe me, those big companies have the analysts on board to check those things. And we're going to talk about that in a little while, Kristen, right? Delayed and not in. But they measure that. Yep, Chris just showed it. So they measure those things, as well as they start controlling the message with the insured. We're here to save you. We're to help you. You're getting taken advantage of by these contractors. And they start controlling the conversation. Programs became a bigger deal in the last 5. They've been around for a while, but they used to be really good. But programs and TPAs, probably more TPAs, started to become very, very dominant. And that's pushing the quality to it's a race to the bottom. It's really pushing the value down, the quality of work down. In some cases, there are still some people that are going to probably message us and say, I do work and I do good work. I get it. But companies that have 80%, 70, 60% of your work being on programs started to see the crunch, the cash flow, the drop in margins. So the reason we started this group is we were meeting certain people that were having these same experiences across the country that were starting to think that they were the reason that they were failing because it was them. Okay, hold on a second. I got to push mute and somebody's eating and I hear the trace. Okay, John, I push mute. People were.
It's O'Connell. It's John O'Connell, I think.
Yeah, I pushed it. I pushed mute. He was eating some lobster or something in Boston. But people were. God, I don't even know why I'm failing. I think I do a good job, but it's just getting harder and harder. It must be just me. I'm invoicing right. I'm estimating. I'm bending over backwards for the carrier for everything they ask for. They're cutting me. They're saying we don't pay for this. I'm taking it off every time. Until you find out that they're asking every other single restorer in the country the same things. And so we started connecting those stories. We started creating a melting pot of that information in one place and started having common conversations, which turned into, well, what do we do about it? And it was usually stand up for your bill, stand up and fight. Or someone had found a particular way to fix that or a way that they get around it. And sometimes that's more F9 notes, more information, give them standards from the S500, S540, OSHA regs, ICRA, NIOSH, whatever it is. People found ways to do it. Then they said, well, hey, this Xactimate, I don't use this so well. Well, I use it great. I'm a great Xactimate level 43. I'm a ninja. And they started training others, but, try this, try this. So it became an addictive place to be. Our group started out with a dozen. We're at 2,600 now. We've had some huge growth over the last couple of years. But there's still some people who don't like it because a lot of people get fed off of the groups, right? Off of insurance work. And even though they have an inner voice that says they agree with everything we're saying, they can't publicly or even privately in a closed group with lurkers be seen being here because those little emails start showing up saying, we know you're in this group that's anti-insurance and blah, blah, blah. So that's what this group was about. And it's a community, it's an alliance. So, you know, if you are so brave and if you are so ready to change the conversation a little bit, come here, come to the group, but get involved with it. Give your 2 cents. You may have some information that's opposing everything we're talking about. No one ever says you can't say that. So bring it up. But we're going to show examples after examples where it doesn't matter how much good documentation you do, how good your containment is, they're still going to find a way to say, A, we don't pay for that. 2, they're going to tell the homeowner that they're trying to send out a preferred vendor and kick you off the job. Or B, that, you know, those guys are just terrible and you shouldn't pay them in full. You should get some of your money back or whatever it is. So that's why this group was started, because many of us were tired of it. Many of us were saying, it's not true. We do good work. We don't have the best employees because the rates that Xactimate for a technician are way too low for what we should be able to pay the skills of people we have. So I've been watching it change because I've been here since day one. And there are days where I get a little frustrated. I'm like, golly, it's a dead horse. We've talked about this ad nauseum. But I remember it's someone else's first day. And I think we just find a way to put up with the new questions and keep giving away. Before I hand this over to the new topic, if you're new here, I'm going to tell you, you should go check out the video section. There's lots and lots of videos, all of them by Shane O'Dazier. He's the only one that does video. Where's Shane? Now, there's a lot of videos by Shane and others that make a lot of videos. Good topics, good things. Check out the files section. I found someone the other day that has been here a while that didn't even know there was a files section. I don't know. It's got to be close to or beyond 200 documents, safety protocols, white papers from Xactimate, employee handbooks that are general templates, safety JSAs, all the documentation you might need to justify this or that, tons and tons and tons of pieces of information. Different equipment manufacturer put some things in there. Check it out. Spend an afternoon. Download them. They're all downloaded. Put your logo on them. Use them as you need to. They are in there. They're free market. So other than that, welcome to the Rebels. I thought it was really important to send that message out one more time because the truth is everyone is watching here. Facebook is doing this weird thing. They manage how much everyone sees of everything. I'm putting together a tour. I'm doing classes. And I know that only, it tells me how many people see it in the group. It's about 10%. But the minute I paid Facebook for some ads, 75% of the people saw it. It's a business. Facebook is a business now. It's advertising. So once I paid and put my money where, just like us, just like Nick's over there, Nick Knack is raising his hands up. Everybody here, nobody here is Red Cross. I don't see anybody. We all pay, for our services that we need from others, and we charge those that need it from us. So there's no reason Facebook wouldn't be the same thing. But anyway, without further ado, I really, really wanted to get that across why we started. We're not trying to tell you to get off of the programs completely. If you want to stay on, I think that 10 to 15% is a safe number. 0% is probably really good. But if you don't have something to replace it with yet, I'd say keep it going. But be working on replacing it with referrals from parties that don't cost you, so much skin in the game, or, your morality, or forces you to do work beneath the standards. Believe me, it happens. You do work so cheap because there's not enough money. Whether you know it or not, you're not doing jobs to the standards of it because there's just not enough in it to do it. Plus, your cash flowing, your cash flow is horrible because you're waiting 90 days to get paid. So all that aside, welcome to the Rebels. I will let some of the others speak now that are great members here. I see Jim Bauer, John May's got us on mute, Morris, Nick Knack, Nick's a unicorn, Chris Jeter. So I'll turn it over to some of you guys, and then we're going to let Kristen has us a great agenda tonight. Thank you.
I think Nick had something to say.
Oh, always.
What, man? I'm always quiet, man. What are you talking about? No, the one thing I do want to say
Your actual name, though.
Nick Knack. On all public forums, I am Nick Knack.
Epic name, dude.
Yeah. But no, the only thing I want to say when I was jumping in on what he was saying when he was talking about not being afraid to make a push, not being afraid to make a pushback, not being afraid to have a comment. Was I've talked to a lot of people that I see here on the forum tonight about when it comes to them negotiating their bills, and Clark went very eloquently and kind of tiptoed around a lot of it. But at the end of the day, the one thing that I want to make sure that everyone understands is, even if you're doing client work, even if you're a service master, a serve pro, or any form of those franchises, I was a part of it for a long time. So was Clark. So was a lot of the guys that are in this. Remember, at the end of the day, and I think this is the one thing that I want to push as we start to grow the Rebels further, is you're there for your clients. You're there first and foremost to take care of the homeowner that you are showing up to. And the number one thing I see on the Rebels page over the last 2 weeks is, I've had this conversation. What do I do? How do I handle this? And it's them trying to interject themselves between their clients and the insurance adjusters. So the only thing I was saying is, guys, we all love our industry. We're all here because we actually give a damn. We all are here because we actually care about what we're doing for our living. Realize that you're there to take care of your client first. And even if you're on a client list, just focus on your client. That's all I meant. That's all I was saying when I was talking with Clark saying it. Focus on your client, man.
Yeah, and Nick, I think you're right. I was kind of tiptoeing around it, but I say it all the time. Stay in your lane. Recognize what your skills are. Being a PA is not one of them. You did not pick that policy. The coverages are already there. The homeowner is responsible. Don't be bamboozled by thinking they're all Mrs. Widow Brown. They know what they're doing. They bought a policy. They bought a home. They have cars and mortgages. They are financially savvy. You're there to do a job. They just need to find out if it's a covered loss or not. And so what you're saying is, don't try to be their advocate against the insurance carrier. Make sure you're representing them with the quality of work that you're going to do. Is that kind of what you're saying, Nick? Yeah. And I see that too. I see that a lot of times. Like, I really just want to go. When people say, the adjuster's saying they won't cover a soft clog. Well, what kind of loss? Have a plumber state what it really was. But if it's not a covered loss, turn your attention around to the homeowner, because are you going to do the work or not? But you still want to get paid. But it doesn't change because who's paying the bill. It's still, the job is a job is a job. So anyway, all yours, Kristen.
All righty. So I hope all y'all have this book. I know I've been reading it for the last week or so, and it's literally made me want to light things on fire. I think my perspective is maybe a little different than some of yours, and I'm really looking forward to the conversation. But for those of you who don't know, I spent almost 17 years as a farmer's insurance agent. So I worked in the trenches with my clients. I had a large book of business, about 5,500 policies. I was one of the biggest agents in the state of Washington. I insured manufactured homes, stick-built homes, big houses, little houses, a ton of businesses. I was on an old contract with farmers that allowed me to write business outside of the farmers insurance group of companies. So I've got a wide variety of experience with different carriers outside of just farmers. And I knew there was some of this going on because I'd seen it. I'd seen customers who I knew this loss should be covered, but the adjuster was delaying or denying it. And I was recommending that my customer go to the insurance commissioner to get it defended. But I had no idea the scale that it went and some of the reasons behind the scale that it goes. I knew that the carrier made money in float, the difference in time between the premium dollars it collects and when it's paying out the claim. I didn't understand that that's such a huge chunk of the profit for the carrier. As an agent, I thought I was making the money by writing really good risks so that my claims were low. And when we paid something out, it was legitimate and we didn't pay more than what we owed. But I took adjusters to town many times. I was telling someone in my office today, it was more than 6 times in my agency history where I literally threatened to drive to Tigard, Oregon and light an adjuster on fire if they didn't cover this loss, because I knew that it was covered. And what really gets me is so many homeowners, and this is where I would slightly disagree with you, Clark, so many homeowners have no idea what coverage they have. They don't know the way their policy works. They have a bad agent, or they bought it online 1-800-GOOD-LUCK style, and they assumed, it's homeowners insurance and it's $50 a month, I can afford it. They don't know that there's exclusions and there's limits and there's all those little intricacies in a policy. They have no idea, because the average consumer, while they're smart enough to buy a house and cars, they're not smart enough to understand insurance. That's why from the very beginning of time, there were insurance agents. It didn't used to be, back in the caveman ages, that you could go online and buy an insurance policy. When insurance started, you had to go to a human being to talk about, well, this is what I have and how do I best cover that? And that human being would work with you, another human being, to figure out what the best coverage is, how it should be priced, what you need and what you don't need. And they would advise you. They're supposed to be your professional. And so many people don't get that. And it's such a disservice to them. And add to the fact that as we've evolved as creatures, we've got some shady agents out there who don't, even if they're not shady, they're focused on their own profits. They're not as focused on that above bar customer service. Wanted to make sure that their homeowner really understands what they have and don't have. That maybe they need this, but they can't afford it, but you need to make sure that they know they don't have it. That was such a huge part of my business, was telling people, you've got this risk. I know you can't afford it, but you need to really understand that you're not covered for this. And I feel like after reading Delayed Deny Defend, so many people out there either didn't get that advice from the jump, don't have an advocate for them when the time comes that they need somebody to push for the carrier to cover what they need to cover, or they've bought insurance that's below the bar of the risk that they are to the carrier and nobody explained that to them. So it's really insulting, somebody who spent so long in the industry of insurance. But it's been a really interesting read to see how in depth the carrier goes, how much the adjusters are really primed to, let's draw this out. Some of the stories in this book where the company actually follows somebody around, hires private investigators to follow somebody to see when they're at their last possible financial break moment, so they can offer them a small percentage of what they're really due. I knew that happened conceptually, but I didn't know that it was so incredibly common. So that's my perspective of things. I'd love to know, I mean, I know a lot of you guys have a gazette of experience in the restoration side. I can tell you what I saw as an agent. Farmers went from use whatever carrier, whatever restoration company you want, it's fine, to we'd really like it if you do Service Master because that's our preferred provider, to if a certain percentage of your claims don't go through Service Master, we're going to have a talk with you as an agent about what you're doing wrong. And I know a lot of agents went, the company knows best, just going to do whatever the company says. And they stopped looking at, and I don't mean that to bash Service Master. There are some great Service Masters among the country. But a lot of agents didn't want to push towards, is the one in my area really the best one? Are they doing the best job for my consumer? And am I doing my best job in advocating for my customer? I think agents have lost that advocate role, if you will. So I'd love to know how many of you guys have read it and what you guys think about it. Because I could go on for the next 6 years about how pissed this book makes me.
Kristen, can you tell everybody that's watching or making funny faces on here, tell them who wrote the book, a little bit about the, it kind of goes to the, it's just not just some wild guy that just, he actually knows what he's talking about. Who is that?
Yeah, it's John Feedman, and he's a professor of law at Rutgers School of Law in New Jersey. And he's got, I mean, the book isn't that big, but the last, I don't know, the last 150 pages or so are notes and references. This is all stuff. This isn't just stories he heard from somebody who had a claims experience. These are things that are documented, that are facts, that are backed up. They're not, I mean, you could walk out the street, out of your house onto the street and find somebody who's had a bad claims experience. Was it really? Was it just their perception? We don't know. But the things they're talking about in this book are legitimate, documented issues between carriers not holding up to their promise to their insureds.
You know, while others kind of find what they want to talk about, we will talk a little bit about the history of this. We've been talking to Jay. Jay's the author. I say we, John Grubb and I have emailed back and forth with Jay several times. We've invited him twice to speak at our summit. But number one, our summits are usually right around graduation time. And he does, like she said, he's a professor at Rutgers. He also just said, look, I don't do public speaking much anymore. I'm just kind of probably like most tenured professors. He's just kind of riding it out, right? So we tried to get him there. And so maybe through this group, the volume, and he's noticed it, the volume of number of books being sold on Amazon has quadrupled or more. And we're not the only, listen, the roofing industry does the same thing. The roofing industry also grabs this book and they give it to their customers. But it causes things to sell out on Amazon and a few other portals. And the books used were going for what, $250 up to $400, $450 at some point. Yeah, $400. Some people in this group just said, screw it, I'm buying it for $250. And it's probably worth it, probably knowing what you know in there and how you handle some of your claims and how you handle the customer's experience. You might make that back on a couple of jobs. I'm pretty sure you would. But through a lot of coaching and emails, we got him to put out a new, him and his publisher, to put out another a group of books. I think the first push, he sold out in a day, right, is what I was seeing from the traffic of the group. He sold out really, really quick, and probably just didn't put enough out there. But apparently they've got another inventory in now, and it's back available on Amazon paperback for $24, something like that. And if you're Prime, I guess it's no shipping cost. So I really recommend getting it. I recommend getting a couple of copies, probably for a few reasons. If you're part of our AIR group or you're wanting to join, you want to be part of a chapter, give a copy to a chapter member that doesn't have one. Give it to an employee, give it to your estimator, give it to your project manager, give it to your agent, one of your close agent friends. Say, look, I'd like to start recommending you to people, but I'd like you to read this. It was a good book for me. I have 2 copies, and I'm holding on to the other one. I give it to clients when I hire them on. And my copy is full of notes and highlighter and bit pages and whatnot, so it's not really giftable. John May, are you here? John May in the group. John, are you ready to do a drawing tonight?
That's funny. Kristen and I were just talking about it, and 108 people threw their names in for it, and Kristen has picked number 77. So after the call, I will go on Facebook and announce who number 77 was.
Okay. So post. Look in the Facebook group and see. John was giving away a copy of the book to anyone that just put their email name in there. I guess number 77 won, right? That's awesome. I didn't mean to spill it. John, I hadn't seen your face over there yet, and I just didn't know if you were with us or not.
I don't know if it's me because I just ordered 3 copies, so I just need to know if I need to order a 4th or not real quick. I'm just saying.
It's a good book, and it's good. It has to do with a lot of other industries, but it's all the same tactics, right? And Xactimate is mentioned in there. A lot. I'm, for one, am not a fan of Xactimate. I'm actually doing something about it. I think it's a great program, but I think it's being used in the wrong way. That's my takeaway. I mean, again, nothing wrong with Xactimate. It's probably, arguably, nothing out there like it, and it was built for the right reasons. But because of how it's built now, because of who the ownership is and where alliances are, I don't care what anyone says. Track, and this is going live, and I don't care. I mean, if I get taken out by a sniper, everybody knows it might be from Utah, right? So it's owned by a company called Verisk. And Verisk is a publicly traded company that has very large shareholders. If you track who the shareholders are, you will see, I think one of them is not Blackstone, Black something. Anyways, a couple of them. BlackRock. But the number one.
If I'm mistaken, BlackRock just bought out Belfor. Is that not correct?
Blackstone Property Management or so got Serpro.
Serpro.
Serpro. Not the same. So BlackRock is, and then the other one that holds the first place, and again, I don't have it here with me. They are tied to insurance. They represent a lot of property insurance companies. So if you start chasing the money, if you start chasing the trail, yes, they have huge reason to not want to change the rates. That, we've talked about it enough in here. Ben puts on an amazing class to tell people how you can affect your change. Xactimate is not a law. It's not a rule. If you ask yourself, show me what date on the calendar in what year that we were ever told that we have to use Xactimate. Now, if you're on a program in TPA, you're kind of screwed. You signed up saying that. But if you're not, why are you even doing it at those rates? Put a different price on there. Use it for what you need. Change all the line items, whatever you want to do. But people say all the time, so I have to use it. I'm going to get pushback if I don't. Jim Bauer, do you get pushback even if you do use Xactimate? And I know you don't use Xactimate, do you?
We do use Xactimate.
You do?
Yes.
Okay. I thought you had vacated using it.
We dropped all programs and all TPAs, but we still use Xactimate. We're looking at other options, though.
Well, I hope to see you in Austin. I'll be as close as Austin, but I've got some options, and they may not be the best ones for everybody, but certainly from a high level how it works and how about a dozen companies are using it. But I'm not here to get into all that tonight. I really don't want to make this a commercial, but there are better ways. And once you read that book, Kristen, it gives you food for thought, but probably confidence to say, I'm not going to be part of this, because we're playing a part in their game if we keep doing it.
We totally are. And I can tell you, as an agent, I was told 9 million times you can only use a contractor who uses Xactimate. And I assumed that was a rule, that there was a day that law was passed. When I first came to Premier, we used Xactimate, and we faced constant pushback. It was always a discussion in the office going on about the pushback we're getting from this adjuster, we're getting from that adjuster. And about 4 months ago or so, we ditched it entirely. And our general manager, who's awesome, Blaine Perry, created our own price list, and we're still getting pushback, but the conversation has changed. It's no longer, we're going to send you our Xactimate file, you go ahead and edit it and send back to us what you think that we should be paid. It's, we don't understand how to edit this QuickBooks invoice that you sent us, and we're not sure how to pay you on it. So it puts us more in a power position, because they can't just go into their software and edit our QuickBooks invoice that we've given them. We still give a detailed description of the loss. We still provide photos and all that good stuff. We're just not, we've changed the game with them because we're using our own price list.
I was, anybody have anything before I tell you a quick story? I don't like them. I don't want to. Cal, you use Xactimate pretty heavily, don't you?
Each other. Yes, I use Xactimate. I get pushback all the time. In fact, since we last spoke, I've had a claim here at my own house, and I still had a hard time getting USAA to approve my estimate. It was all written in Xactimate. So, yeah, it's not by no means perfect.
No, I think. Answer me this, Steve. Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, I use it exclusively, and I've called to Xactimate and complained about their price list being unchanged for so long, and they eventually reached out to me and asked about what the pricing on equipment specifically, and if we all did that, I think they'd be overwhelmed with the amount of calls that they're getting and complaints, and they'd have to move because, like you said, Clark, they are not changing the prices. That's doesn't make any sense for anyone in the economic reality of things. So they may be in trouble for collusion or price fixing for not changing their prices so many years.
So let me speak to that real quick, Steve, because I think it's really important. Hopefully, if we see a few hundred people here, the way that it works is going to preclude that from being price fixing or collusion. And I'll tell you why. So, because what they're guilty of, what Exactware is guilty of, is not educating their contractor side of their subscription base on how to effectively change their pricing. Yeah, I just got a text. Someone is here. Ben Justinson teaches a class that's going to teach you this. But from a high level, Xactimate is an averaging tool. The price list for your zip code that you keep downloading are the results of the average of what all the contractors in that market say they're okay with the prices being. So knowing that, when you download that same price list and regurgitate the same numbers for 10 years and do not modify and increase your numbers, and listen, that's not secret. That's not part of what Ben's proprietary information. Ben has some proprietary calculations and factoring on what your labor percentages should be. But I'm telling you what the white papers of Xactimate say. It's an averaging. There's a mechanism of giving feedback. So in a perfect world, you have, Steve, we start a chapter here in Richmond. We get 41 contractors that all use Xactimate. We customize our price list to be what they should be. I will still tell you that if I have a restoration company on east side of town and you're on the west side of town, and I have 45 employees and you have 75, and I market one way and there's no way we should be the same price. I may own my building. I may have bought it in the 1930s. I may drive a fleet that I won off the lottery, but our prices can't be the same. It's like every restaurant, it's not the same. But if we all download our price list, and letting in John Grubb, we all downloaded our price list, customized it, added the profit margin that we need to make. By the way, O&P on mitigation does exist. Upload that back and start using that, and then do feedback. And we start pushing that back to Xactimate on everyone. Again, remember, 41 people in one town, everybody's doing it. You will see that increase. Xactimate's not really guilty of anything. I'm really sorry to tell you. They're only reporting, they're free and clear because they're reporting what they're getting pushed in. It's an algorithm. It's a factoring of their software. They're just not quick to tell everybody that. That's my opinion. I don't know anybody here that's ever gotten a call or an email from Xactimate saying, hey, did you know, FYI, you could be making 50% more, 40% more? Wink, wink. They would upset the other half of their master if they did that. Again, it's my opinion. If I die tomorrow, I will miss you all.
Isn't it also true that adjusters are uploading their price lists and their estimates as well, and that's being factored into it? So it's not just restoration contractor to restoration contractor, it's restoration contractor to adjuster, which is going to skew things differently, I would have to think.
There is a post in the group, Kristen and Stephen and anybody else. You'd have to use the search function and type in pie graph. There's a pie chart that shows the feedback ratios of different parties, carriers, TPAs, others. Contractors are under 5%.
Right.
We're making less than 5% of the influence towards changing the prices. Adjusters are not going to raise the prices. They're going to make them lower. And if you're sending your ESXs, I would ask you all to check what happens when your ESX file goes. I've seen, this came up today. You want to talk about games? You send your ESX file to an adjuster. Hey, can you go take a look at this job? You send it in. You never hear another word. You find out that they put their header on it, took your numbers, changed it, crunched them down, sent it off and said to another contractor and said, this is all we're paying because this is what ABC Clark's Restoration said he would do it for. Fraud, APA. Right, John? John May? John May's his board member of the American Policy Association. Anyway, there's a lot going on there. And Steve,
I think Nick has another thing to say. He's raising his finger. Oh, he's pointing at us and being rude. I don't know.
I so listen, guys, here's the thing. So going back to the 5% that he was just talking about, I've talked to Ben. I know a bunch of the other guys that are here on the national level from all the different groups. And the thing that just surprises me is, so adjusters are given incentives to make sure they upload these. Like he said, they stole your contract. They stole, it is steal. They took the estimate that you got, that you sent them, put their letterhead on it, and update it. They're giving incentives. They're giving bonuses. They're giving all of this to them. I thought that, I'm here in Orlando. I'm based out of Orlando. I thought it was amazing. I was talking with Ben, and Ben actually showed me some numbers of contractors here in Orlando that actually update their ESXs. They actually put their price list through, they show the update to it, and it blew my mind about the fact that insurance companies are given incentives to update their price lists to make sure that Xactimate, because it goes both ways. It comes from the insurance company, it comes from us as contractors. Insurance companies are given incentives to do this. Us as contractors, we have no incentives, so we just don't do it. And then we complain that none of us do it. And this is why when Clark is saying we have to have chapters get together, we have to have chapters, we have to have groups of people get together and commit to updating the price list in our area, it's so important.
I'm going to beg to differ with you, Nick. We have the biggest incentive in the world, better profit margins so that we can grow our companies. And I mean, we have incentive. People just aren't looking at it that way. You're not looking at.
You're correct. You're correct.
Yeah. But so, yeah, you know what? I got a text from somebody. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, not just me. I already said Ben Justinson, check out his course. If you're going to stay with Xactimate, he is the guy. I am going to 15 cities, and I've already got some people here that are going to go. I've operated in companies that didn't use Xactimate, that we used our own proprietary price list off of what we needed to. Number one, some people don't know what their prices should be because they don't know their numbers well enough. That's a whole nother day. That's another argument. But figure out your numbers. Spend some time learning about your business, about how to run your business, and how to make money, and quit expecting everybody else to make money for you. It's not going to work that way. Become a good business person. Secondly, look at alternatives of saying, what would it look like if I walked away? It's going to be scary. Some people just change is hard, especially if you've been in this a while. You're already getting pushback on this and that. Believe me, and I will have examples. And if you want the people's names, I have clients and I know contractors in this industry, in this group, that have never used Xactimate, use their own price list, and they are the highest in their market, paid in less than 30 days. It's a lot of different things that go to that, but it's a process and a process and a process where they get paid in an average of 18 days because they measure everything. And they have almost no shrink. When I call shrink, like in the retail world, you estimate or you invoice a job at 12.2, you might be giving back, 11.7. You might be getting 11.7 for this or that. And at that point, it's not even worth a phone call. It's possible, but not if just one person in the city's doing it. Because you know what? You're going to be the only person in town that does it. And they're going to tell you, you know what? You're just an outlier. You're the only one doing it there. So start thinking about a business. Quit being concerned about what the insurance wants you to do. Read Delay Deny Defend. They'll tell you what they want you to do. They don't want you to do a damn thing. They want you to be on your knees. Right, Kristen?
Absolutely. And I think it's been said so many times in the group, the insurance company, the adjuster, the TPA is not your customer. The homeowner is your customer. The homeowner is the one who, at the end of the day, you need to be able to look in the eyes and say, we did the right job for you, and we're going to be compensated fairly for that. I tell you, so I do business development for Premier, and I tell people all the time, we might not be the cheapest restoration company around, but we pay our guys above average. We have a low turnover ratio. We take really good care of our crews. We take extremely good care of our equipment. It's cleaned, it's sanitized. We do things that our neighboring restorers aren't going to do. So we can look at your insured in the eye when we're done and say, this problem that happened, it's not happening anymore. We can guarantee you're not going to have resulting issues because we cut a corner here or cut a corner there because we still need to figure out how to make profit even though the insurance company is pushing us down. We work for our customer, who's the homeowner.
You know what I used to do when we had our team would walk up to a customer, Kristen, and say, God, you know, Adjuster said y'all weren't the cheapest in town. I said, look, I know you don't like cheap stuff. I walked up, your house is gorgeous, your begonias, got a really nice, clean vehicle. You keep your vehicles clean. You know, your house is really nice. You got nice, it's presentable. Your kids, you know, you don't say your kids have straight teeth, but believe me, we can all find something cheaper in everything we do. I passed the truck today when I went out to go get my daughter from one of our little camps. I think that thing was probably wasn't going to make it another 4 miles. Guy was just smoking away in the truck. I wouldn't have wanted that guy. Whatever he did, I wouldn't want him at my place. I'm having work done at my house right now. This is a true story. I'm having my deck redone. To get it done, and this was someone in the market that I was told was doing a really good job. Supposed to have been here 2 weeks ago to pressure wash and get ready, you know, just restaining it. That took 4 days from the date that they promised they'd be here. It's just showing up is the first thing that somebody can do. You know what? People that charge the right price and have great reviews, they show up because you know what? They want that next review. By the way, I left on vacation and was told the thing would be done when I got back. I got back. It's just like when I left it. You know what's going to happen when he hands me the invoice? Where's my pencil? Let's see what this is, right? That's what happens. That's what happens with our jobs. So, hey, John Grubb.
And for most people, their home is their biggest ever purchase and their biggest asset. And I mean, I own my house. I don't think I've ever hired the cheapest contractor to do something around here. I'll get multiple bids, but I'll usually go with somebody who's middle of the road or the highest because they showed up on time. Their rig was clean. The estimate they provided made sense to me. They explained their job. I'm happy to pay more for that. I plan to live here for a long time.
Well, Kristen, I got a question for you. So when you were selling insurance, did you not sell everybody the same policy, or did you sell economy policy where if they had a loss, they had to get the lowest bid and use the lowest contractor?
Well, there's no such thing as an economy policy that forces somebody to go with the lowest bid or the lowest contractor.
Exactly. That's what I tell my customers all the time.
That being said, I didn't sell everybody the same policy, but I think we had a conversation a couple days ago about an actual cash value mobile home policy. I sold a ton of those. I sold some DP1s that are really reduced coverage dwelling policies, some HO1s that are really reduced coverage homeowners policies. But you best believe that insured, my client, knew exactly what they were buying and exactly what the difference was between that, the better, and the best, and how that was going to play out if and when a claim happened. So I did occasionally sell those. Sometimes it made sense, but my customer knew 1,000% of the time, and they signed something saying they understood it, something I came up with on my own, because I wanted them to know, I'll sell this to you. It's a little bit cheaper, but when your house burns down, you're effectively co-insuring what the loss is. You're not getting full replacement costs. That costs more money.
Just got a text. We've got somebody watching on Facebook that won't be here, but they said I guess they said they couldn't. I booted blank. I'm pretty sure they mean I helped off of a job that I posted yesterday because the client showed up and their techs were smoking in their trucks and looked like they were homeless. 12,000 square foot just because we looked good. I mean, you know, your customer does want what looks good. The question is are you framing it in a way to show your value? Are you showing how many reviews you know how many jobs we used to get whenever a preferred vendor was on their way out, and we would say, who is it? Oh, they said it's so-and-so. Let me pull it up on my phone and show you they've got 3 reviews. We had 200. What do you want to do? You can use whoever you want to use. I can? Yeah, call your adjuster back and ask him. You can use whoever you want to be. We kept the job. Are you doing that? I don't know. Are your guys in uniforms? The guys doing my deck? They all showed up in their personal cars at my house. None of them were in a logoed vehicle. None of them had on T-shirts. As far as I know, they were subcontractors that just got pulled in from some parking lot somewhere. So what's
You hired a Bubba.
I did. I hired a Bubba, and I took the guy in the middle. All for referral. Shame on me.
Those little differences just make such. I was at a parking lot at a Starbucks Tuesday, and there was a fellow restorer's truck in the parking lot, and it was filthy. It was disgusting. And I walked up to their guys and I said, listen, I work for a company based out of Auburn. We're in the same industry. And I just got to say, we're cleaning companies. What we do at the end of the day, we clean things. And if you show up at a job in this disgusting truck, nobody's going to think you can clean anything. You can't even run your thing through a car wash. We've got to maintain a higher standard. And the guys looked at me and they said, well, you don't work with me. And I said, I know, but I'm telling you, a truck like this wouldn't leave my shop. It wouldn't be allowed because it's how you're representing yourself. So I would suggest doing you a favor here. You take this thing to the car wash before you go to your job site.
You know what? As a matter of fact, I'll pay for it.
Right. And then of course I pitched Alliance and, tried to get them into our group. Like, we can do a better job, guys. We can do it together.
We have to. I mean, listen, we complain about the people in our network markets that are terrible, but what are we doing about them? Do they know they're terrible? Do they just, I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a job and showed a guy how to do it better. He's like, I've never seen it done that way. I love that. It's just people are doing, it's copy and paste. That's not everybody. There's reasons. But I think there's hope. I really do. And maybe I always will. But if we give up on everybody else, we're going to give up on ourselves because it's the best. We're only as strong as our weakest link in this industry. People see that busted up truck, and they must think every restoration company must be. We're just another group that's going to be late. We're just another group that's going to be in their truck smoking. We're just another group. Yeah, I saw your commercial, but you know what? Everybody can have. Domino's has really good commercials, but they're not the best pizza.
Hey, don't dog on Domino's, Clarky, okay?
It'll fit.
Hey, right. Domino's is not the best pizza. Let's be real.
Hey.
I'm going to mute Nick. Hey,
Here's what I want to say, man. So I was just recently on a job site that was split between multiple contractors, and I was fine with it. I was happy with it. I had my client that called me in to handle one portion of a job site, and the client below, it was one of those condo medical association type of things. And there was another contractor called in on one thing on the one side, another one called in on the other side. And that's fine. It's, we're all restorators. Nobody's going to get off work at Subway and go to Jimmy John's and scream down their throat about the fact that they're still making subs and they're competing against them or anything. It's a joke if you think that. So we did this. I'm working on the top floor, which means that all my guys have to go up and down one flight of stairs, which is right next to the other contractor. The other contractor, they brought their guys lunch, and the guy shows up and he goes, hey man, they didn't bring us any drinks. They forgot the drinks for their guys. And I said, hey man, my guys ordered too many. I got 2 extra, 12 packs of Coke or whatever it was in the back of my truck. If you guys want to go grab some drinks, grab some drinks. So we're parked right next to each other. We're using the same stairwell. We're working in the same building. There's no need to have an issue, a conflict, or anything. And one of the guys goes, you must not be from around here or you're new to the industry. And I said, what are you talking about, man? I've been doing this for 19 years. What's the problem? And he goes, well, you're being nice to us. And I said, why wouldn't I be nice to you, man? You guys are on a job site here. We're in the same industry. The guy forgot to give you drinks. I got extra drinks. He goes, nobody in our industry does that. That made me upset, man. This happened 2 days ago. I was like, what are you talking about? Nobody does that in our industry. We're doing the same job.
Yeah.
What's the problem?
It's true.
That's so bad.
Let me ask you this.
Yep.
You got 2 doctors in the operating room. We got 1 patient they're working on. They need another set of hands. You think the other doctor is going to go over and jump and help him? They took an oath. They signed in and say, I'm a doctor. I save lives. We save houses. Let's do it together and figure it out at the end who splits who. I mean, I did that a lot of times in commercial. I shared jobs with Belfort and said, hey, let's jump on this and help you with it. Well, the merrier. Come on, we'll split it up. John, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say that's an epidemic in Florida. And it's not – I've seen other states where it's, other big metros where a lot of that cutthroat mentality goes on. I've never seen a place like Florida. There's just a culture of, stab people in the back. It's terrible. I honestly, one day those guys are going to die off, and hopefully the next generation is just, I don't know, more admirable.
From your mouth to God's ears, dude. From your mouth to God's ears.
Why is it like that? Do you guys have any insight of what the culture difference is between Florida and other states?
It's the heat.
Am I allowed to speak freely on this one?
I don't know. Clark's all right. He's from Texas.
Here's the deal, man. Our industry in Florida, I'm going to say Orlando, but in Florida. So you have to realize that when it comes to claims per square foot, I'm pretty sure that, if I'm not mistaken, Florida is first, if not second, in the country. The problem with that is we also have some of the most lax laws in regards to how you're going to handle, file, and claim something. So we had the AOB. Everybody knows about the AOB, the Assignment of Benefits. It was a great thing. It's a wonderful one. The intention of it is I want to make sure that if I do a job for you, that we sign a contract that I am named on that contract so I can get my money. Unfortunately, we have a bunch of other really small, stupid laws in the state of Florida that allowed massive amounts of scumbags to come in and take over our industry in the state of Florida. So I can go into your house where you have 3 cabinets, 6 air movers, 2 dehues, clean water, nothing's wrong. And because of the assignment of benefits, I'll write the claim for $20,000. And the way the law worked originally in the state of Florida, as long as the insurance company settles out for me at greater than 35% of my invoice, I get paid, and they have to pay my lawyer's fees. So I'll write a contract for $30,000, and they'll say, well, man, this should have been $2,500, but we don't want to go to court for 3 years. So we'll pay you $7,000 and your court costs because it's going to cost us more to go. Now, that law has been overturned just recently. Unfortunately, Florida, we are not a let's be logical state. So it was overturned to the exact opposite end of the spectrum, where now, if you want to do restoration work in the state of Florida, if I'm not mistaken, it's capped out at, anybody else in here help me, $2,500 or $3,000?
$3,000.
$3,000. So all restoration work is capped out at $3,000 in the state of Florida, unless you get approval from whoever your insurance carrier or binder is.
So that's a giant ball of nightmare.
Yeah. And it's also hot. So let me.
Well, it's hot where you are too, Clark, but.
Yeah, it's hot everywhere sometimes. I want to point out what I think are some other contributing factors. And Nick, you've lived there your whole life, except for that minute in Russia. So Florida is the ecosystem of the restores a lot came from storm chasers. There's always a lot of hurricanes there that come from all walks of life that aren't necessarily of any kind of background that has to do with restoration. You might have fencing guys. You might have landscapers. They show up, then they just never leave. And then you've got the international influence in Florida. Florida's got to be one of the most international states that I've ever. I mean, New York is one. You've got all the islands, Jamaica, Haiti, Cuba, all good people. but it's a melting pot of different cultures. So there's no real identity that they can grab onto. That state is so bad that northern and southern Florida want to be annexed from each other. And they've gone to the governor for that and say, North Florida is misrepresented by anybody that's trying to represent South Florida because they have two different issues. So I think those are some of it. And again, their laws are just crazy. And I think it's also such a transient population. There's so many snowbirds that go north, and there's a lot of Florida just gets just empty in the summer, except for vacationers. But, the winter, Sarasota, Naples, Tampa, Clearwater, St. Petersburg and Palm Beach, they just get crowded with people down from the winter coming down from Michigan and Canada or whatever. So I think it's a bunch of things, but what Nick's talking about, those aren't necessarily the owners that feel that way. So it's a culture thing coming from the top down. The owners they're angry about the policies and stuff, but the techs and the project managers, they still get paid the same no matter what the laws are. They're the ones that are inheriting this terrible culture. So Florida is tough, and I do think a lot of it comes from the chasing and the hurricanes, and a lot of people were born from that. And then when it's not a storm, every house has mold. So not everybody does something about it. So they're fighting over a much smaller piece of the pie. That's why there's so many really, really small guys. Very few really dominate because there's a lot of guys just living off of crumbs because of what's left. I don't know. Nick got on the phone with his friend over there.
It's also a very saturated market. There's hundreds of stores in Florida alone.
Do you think that's come from storms and whatnot, James, or what do you think causes that saturation?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you're right that every house here has mold. For a while, a lot of people were getting into it because they sell dollar signs. And so you had people from roofing companies to carpet cleaners getting in the industry just because they wanted to get more money.
Yeah. So
sounds like a good market for the Instascope.
Well, there's some down there. There's some showing up down there. Dave Luce has got it in Jacksonville and has set up a big business. I know some people in Orlando putting them together. Probably gonna have to sell it even more. You're gonna probably really convince people, but I think you start getting the commercial buildings and that things start singing and whistling and throwing off numbers. People are gonna get real concerned. People react differently to Instascope off of visual results than they do if you tell them it's bad. If they see red on the screen, oh no, run for the hills. So Florida is no different. Florida needs a chapter, and I know I've been down there. James was in the class. I think it's a little more difficult down there. We just have to find the right leadership team to put one together. But I think there's no other state that probably needs it as much, and it won't be everybody, but it will be a good group. And I know 10, 15 right now that would just be stellar contributors to a chapter down there. So I want to talk real quick about air. We're running a little over. I know it's getting late. This was a good call. I want to talk about air just because the messaging is not there. I may not be the best person to talk about it, but I just want everybody to talk about air. But I want to talk about something early on in this video. Someone said about educating the customer. And Kristen, this is going to be a place where when it comes time when we start producing this, certainly your influence and your input from an agent side would be great. So the Alliance of Independent Restorer has a twofold approach. One's going to be for members, and the other's going to be for a little bit for public, not like a full-blown consumer advocacy. But as a tool for its members, we are going to have a forward-facing library, and this is early. It's early right now. It's going to take some time to get this done. Forward-facing library of videos that are specifically created, not long videos, shortish videos, maybe some of them 3 minutes, some of them maybe 6 or 7, maybe even higher ones sometimes. But these topics that when you go to a home that you want to resonate with the customer and say, you know what, you have rights with your carrier, you have rights with us, your contractor. This is what a policy looks like. This is a series of videos that you can email or even point your client to say, go learn what ACV is, ALE. Go learn some terminology. Not from me, because it's going to sound different coming from a neutral-ish party, but we're part of an association of standards that we're trying to educate. This is what you should expect from a contractor. You should ask for references. You should look at our reviews. You should ask us if the team, how long they've been with us, and or if we're part of the ICRC, what certs are carried, blah, blah, blah. When was the last time you changed the HIPAA filter? What is a HIPAA filter? And there's no end of what these videos could be about. Let's just, do I have to use a contractor that my carrier? What if my carrier says I do? There's some soft videos, again, not real combative, but saying you have the right, and check for your state, check for the DOI. And these are some things, and download this form at this page or whatever it is. And I think we just continue to build those. Maybe there's some that are state specific. And I'm talking about hiring an actor or a spokesperson that's not one of us that really can put these together. And then you've got a library for air members. And that's just one thing we're talking about. Is there anybody that thinks that would be of value?
Oh, yeah.
Up with a public adjuster.
What's that?
What about teaming up with like Kyle over at Premier Claims for public adjusting to be that spokesperson?
Well, so public adjusters are not, they're in the group, and I don't have anything against them, but they always seem to have a little different angle than what we kind of take. There's one in the group that says every time that there's something going wrong, they say, hire a public adjuster. Here's my number. So it's a lot of times that, but no, I have some, I want it to be somebody neutral, just basically taking some written scripts and just not reading as an invested party of this industry, just saying they're just trying to eloquently, because how you say a message is almost as important about the message. I mean, I can listen to Morgan Freeman read me some bad news, or I can listen to Jason Statham read it. It's going to be a whole different thing. And so but I'm not against it. I don't know who that is though, Mark. But there's a lot of public adjusters in the group, and I think they play a part. But I've also been around where public adjusters can really foul up a claim really, really quick. And I don't know usually you don't know till it's too late. So me personally, I kind of walk the other way, and they can have their space and we have ours, but we are aligned. I mean, they're supposed to be there for the homeowner, but not for maximizing the claim, which is what happens sometimes.
I think if it's going to be a truly neutral third-party type video whose purpose serves to help the insured to advocate for themselves, I think it really has to be somebody who can't be tied into the industry. Because if an insured shows that video to an adjuster who knows that public adjuster, they can say, well, they're only saying that because they want to be brought in. They're trying to promote the public adjusting field. They're always going to look for that skew.
Someone just texted me and said we should have Mike Rowe do those videos.
Yeah, we can't afford him. Is Wilford Brimley still alive? I think we can afford him.
How about Betty White before she goes? I mean, listen, I went to high school with McConaughey. Why don't I call Matthew? All right. So I think there's probably some suitable people, but really someone that it's going to be that mix of trustworthy, somebody that everybody can relate to. It's going to be that if it really of value. And, we're going to test it out with a couple of videos first, some of the real high level. I mean, where's Bob Timmel? Bob Timmel I told you all about the file section. Bob Timmel put the 10 power questions in there. Search 10 power questions in the group. And there's questions that you should be asking or you should be giving to your customer to ask the carrier. Are you in a position to settle this claim? Can I use whoever I want? Blah, blah, blah. Take a look at that. He's put it in there freely in an editable way. Put your logo on top of it and put it in your file that you hand to customers. These are all just tools. There's no one tool. It's like your toolbox, man. You gotta have something for every situation. Then you got to train your team how to adequately pick the right tool when they need it. And that's the hard part, because we just talked about how some teams just don't want to, they don't even want to show up, much less do extra work. Somebody's messaging me here. Okay. Listen, delayed not defend. Stop listening to us talk about it. Get your own copy. It's only, John, thank you for giving a copy away, but It's $22. Get it off Amazon. I think someone just said there's only, or 25. I think someone just said there's only 19 copies left. I don't know why Jay's only putting them out there in groups of 30, but I don't know. But just get you a copy, and just you will see why. We aren't just talking about it because it's got good pictures. It's really good content, and it helps you divine your game. Other than that, join AIRestore.org. Why? PM one of the members and ask them why. Dwayne, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, the triple D. Yeah, get it, read it. I still can't get past 2 pages without getting pissed.
Yeah.
That's a page and a half more than I get through.
And you'll find that a lot of the situations that's in there that's happening to a lot of the clients. I dealt with one the other day, so it's an eye-opening book. If you have the chance.
Hey, Park.
Yeah, thanks, Dwayne. Hey, Bodie.
Yes, sir. Hey, was making a joke the other day about that. Why all those copies are being bought up off of Amazon. I keep thinking that there's somebody in the insurance industry that's just buying them all, and because they don't want them on the market. So that's my 2 cents. I just think that more restorers need them, but we can't get them because they're always disappearing. Insurance doesn't have any. They've got deep pockets to buy that stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'm conspiracy theory or something, but that's it.
It very well could be. Hey, John May, do we have some news now that you've picked a winner, do you have some news to tell everyone?
What news is that?
Books A Million?
Yes.
It will solve this problem.
Yeah, Books A Million offers Delay, Deny, Defend as an ebook for less than $19.
An ebook. Doesn't run out. You can't sell out of ebooks. Booksamillion.com. Go search Delay, Deny, Defend, less than $20, and you can get it. I guess what is that? Download to a Kindle? Is that what an ebook does?
I think it's like a PDF.
PDF?
Yeah, I believe it's that one through them is a PDF form.
Okay.
Is Books A Million, is that what they do? They turn books into ebooks, or does the author submit that to be an ebook?
That's a good question, John.
I'm just wondering if our dozens of late night emails to Jay Feinman and his publisher have actually moved the needle on that. That's all. We have backdated every which way.
I'm looking it up right now. Hold on. I'm gonna screen share it and see what it looks like. No, not Harry Potter. Okay. Well,
Mark, I just want to make sure you're very careful about what you screenshot of the books that you read, because
shut up.
U13 audience.
Shut up. You just got lost. They just came in. Some reason I'm not finding it, so we look like jerks now, don't we? They took it off the ebook.
Interesting. It was there the other night.
Books A Million.
It's sold out.
It's there. We got it.
Keep looking.
I'm gonna say that the ebook sold out.
Yeah, they didn't put enough copies of the ebook.
Bob's got it.
Bob, you got it? Is it there?
And there's my conspiracy theory again.
For $19, the download PDF.
That's awesome.
I must be blocked. Yeah, $19. Don't worry. Don't wait for a copy anymore. If you're okay with the PDF, put it into your device and watch it. Read it that way. It's still better than nothing. Or get the book. It's up to you. Good call. The what?
Did someone put the link in chat?
Yes. Mark did.
$18.99.
I think you should.
We'll get this.
Download it to your iPad, and when you go to job, the client to do while you're working, let them read it.
So this was worth that for nothing else, right? So listen, I'm gonna tell everybody, get a hold of Ben Justinson, figure out your Xactimate stuff. If you're tired of messing with it, or even some of your jobs you don't want to build that way, go to Restoration Advisors, join AIR, do something, get a book about it. But let's start educating ourselves beyond just asking the Facebook group. Again, I love the Rebels group as much as anyone else, but you're oftentimes getting a ton of bad answers. I definitely encourage everyone, if you're living by the answers that you get on Facebook, even from me, do your due diligence, man. You're responsible for your own results. But I see some of the answers that people say, and I'm like, that's just not right. So anyway, anyone have anything closing? Morris?
Not today. It's been a good week.
You going to take care of those commies?
I'm trying to restrain myself. I don't want to get put out.
What we're talking
Hey, Morris, keep those submarine pictures coming.
Will do. Roger that.
What we're talking about, those commies, is there seem to be people in the Facebook rebel world, or all facets of our world these days, that just start to think that capitalism is evil. And,
when I start hearing people use terms like greedy, and how much is enough money, I'm like, I get a life. Are you a business owner? Come on, this is America. Nobody's saying you got to go out and rob people and beat them over the head, but our job as business owners is to maximize profits. We're corporate officers. We have a fiduciary responsibility to ensure that we maximize the value of our companies. And anybody that doesn't understand that, well, I don't know. They don't have a place in, well, let me rephrase that. I don't have any use for them. Now, maybe the rebel group has a use for them. I don't. This is America. It's still America. And, our job is to maximize the value of our company. That doesn't mean charge people for every little nickel and dime thing, but that means if you give up a little something here, there's a reason behind giving it up. Maybe you get faster payment. Maybe you get goodwill from the customer. Maybe you get future leads. But you don't just say, I don't know. I feel kind of bad about charging that. I think I got enough money. That doesn't make any sense. But I'm going to stop.
No, hey, Morris is my Rebel of the Week alumni. I'm just saying, I want to give him a little plaque and shit. I'm going to send it to him next week.
He's employee of the month. He gets a parking space.
I made a post a few months ago, and I do all the time. Every dollar that you take a haircut on, the insurance puts it in their pocket. Just ask. It's just a redistribution of funds. So the money's going somewhere. Where's it going to go? I'd rather go to the charity. You know what? I'm not going to give you $1 back on this, but I am going to give it to the wounded warrior. I'm going to give it to this, but I'm not going to give it back to the insurance company because there's no shortage of revenue there. Nick, did you have something to add?
The only thing I wanted to say was this, and I sent you a text message on it earlier, but I do want to see if we were talking about trying to get topics going. We were talking about having different things for the future. So I am from Florida. As most of y'all boys know, we have a lot of manufactured homes. Clarky makes a comment about the fact that I'm a unicorn. I have not had to deal with manufactured homes. I have not had to deal with manufactured homes insurance, how you do with them in construction, restoration, across the board. But it is something that I have seen is a big part of our industry, from Arkansas to Louisiana to Tennessee to Kentucky. So I wanted to say, what do y'all boys say about us trying to put together a panel of people in the future that know how to handle right and properly make sure that we are covered and doing the right thing for manufactured homes throughout our industry in the future?
I like it. That certainly wouldn't be me, but I know they're their own difficult beast, right? They're made different. So
I know nothing about it, man. One of my biggest clients called me and his aunt bought a mobile home here in Florida that had a bunch of issues and this and that. And I look like an idiot. Like, you want me to handle your 400,000 square foot building? I got you. what's going on with my manufactured home. I looked like an absolute idiot. I had no knowledge, no experience. I think it would be something that we could really try to put together our group to educate everyone else.
So we should probably get this topic started and get some commenters. Some folks are going to pipe in with, yeah, we see them all the time. You know, we've learned A, B, and C from it. And then I think from there we get a couple of voices. I'm thinking of a couple people that have experience with it that might be able to contribute. But I totally agree. And it is a totally different beast than, 2x4 construction or commercial. So yeah, it's something that we need to address. That would be beneficial.
Well, the same thing about crawl spaces, right? We get Kiefer's button here. Crawl spaces can tie a whole different dynamic. So,
hey, Clark, what's a crawl space?
I look at your name on the screen. All right.
Hey, Clark, you come down here to Orlando, and I said you could.
I thought Nick Knack was a great name.
In your backyard for you, buddy.
Listen, all of you have your own unique. I'm looking at Chad. Chad Turgett's got an interesting business, handles business in much different way than a lot of people. Be unique, be different, and make sure your customers know who you are and what you do, and they will look for you and find you and search you out, and others will talk about you. Become that thing, right? That restaurant where everybody says it's not really popular, but it's the best food and it's the best vibe. Be that guy, and you'll never be without work. Is that right, Chad?
That is correct. I mean, we do different stuff every day. It's kind of a unique way of getting different business. We definitely do something a little different than probably 90% of people on this page.
Right. And it's just, and I'm the same way. I look at some of the conversations and I'm like, I don't necessarily relate because I don't, quit trying to be like everybody else and you won't have everybody else's problems, right? I mean, we can't all be different, but we can certainly try, but good stuff. I've got nothing else. If you guys don't, it's 10:04.
The crawl spaces. I get these calls and people go, I want you to do it. I want you to do it. I want you to do it. And I go, I have no clue what the hell you're talking about. We're talking about being 90% different. He calls me a unicorn. I am a unicorn. I have a very unique asset of what I do in this industry. The rest of you guys will blow circles around me if we ever ran into each other on a Saturday night apartment job. Be unique. Be you. Learn your fucking specialty and be great at it. Which is why I kind of want to do, this is why I brought this up. I want to understand more about trailer parks. It's a huge thing. I'm not going to get into it. It's not me. It's not what I'm going to do. But I want to know about it, man.
Be like David Bowie. Be different.
Wear makeup and look fabulous in Labyrinth?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with that.
We'll end on that. Everybody good?
Yes. Buy tights. Gotcha.
Thanks, everyone. I'm turning off the recording now.